Bonjour, everybody. Hi. Good morning. Good morning. It's Thursday morning, May 10th. Yay! I like the 10th of every month. It's one of my favorite days of the month, and I'm going to share with you why in just a second. Welcome, everybody, to Star Nations. Star Nations organization. This is the main fan page for Star Nations that we're live streaming on, and I'm Neshi Locatz. And I do a morning card draw every morning to share with, it started out with Instagram, but we have expanded to Facebook Live. I just thought that maybe Star Nations community would really like to see this in the morning. So I just thought maybe this would be good stuff. Good morning, Nicole Warner. You just popped in. I saw your name come up. It's a beautiful morning here in Tomah, Wisconsin. It is a little cooler. It's a little cooler. It's about 50-something degrees, 51 degrees it was this morning. But it's nice. It really is. Can you hear the cardinal? Oh, they've been very, very loud this morning. I think they're building nests. I already have one of the two. So anyway, I have to tell you, it's an interesting morning around here. Much calmer than it was yesterday. Yesterday, it was kind of like had that Grand Central Station kind of feel to it, you know. Very, very busy. People going in lots of different directions all at the same time. Lots of energy. And Tuesdays are usually my busy days. But yesterday was jam-packed. And Nicole's saying my cardinals in my yard have been very vocal too. I don't know if it's because they're building nests or maybe they're actually doing the mating thing. Good morning, Rochelle. I'm glad you could join us. I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're doing better. So anyway, it's spring. You know, I like living in Wisconsin in the upper Midwest for a couple of reasons. Is because our seasons, when they change, they're very dramatic in their change. So you know when it is spring. You know when it's winter. You know there's no guessing. It's not subtle at all, right? And it's very beautiful. In the springtime, we have a lot of things budding, right? And in the old days when I was younger, like in my 20s and 30s. I wasn't as appreciative of the springtime. I liked it, but I didn't really appreciate it because of my seasonal allergies. Now, I still have my seasonal allergies, but to me now it's like, oh, spring's here. This is the welcome to it. So, and the reason why I'm even saying it is because I'm going to be clearing my throat a little bit. I haven't taken anything yet, no topical, over-the-counter stuff yet. Sometimes I do, but it isn't as bad. And I go through a progression. We do the neti pot, and then we do essential oils, and then come July or so, I'm taking Zyrtec. And and so anyway, I'm just letting you know that this clearing throat thing is actually welcoming spring. Good morning, Rob Kendall. It's good to see you in the house. I have to tell you that today's card draw was rather interesting. I did draw this particular card from the Jamie Sam's Sacred Path, Eastern Shield, and it's all about illumination and clarity. Yeah, I'm going to bring it a little bit closer so you can see. On the shield is an eagle, and it's got on the shield things hanging from it, right? Tobacco pouch, feather. Looks like a seashell. Looks like maybe a bear claw or a claw of some sort. Yeah, isn't that pretty? Now there's a little history with this card this morning. All right, so this is what I say every morning practically when I'm getting ready to do the card draw, is I'm talking to my spiritual team. I call everybody in, and it's rather full full house when I do that, but I want everybody present so that whatever energy is prevalent that we need to know about for the day, everyone is present for it, right? And so I did that and asking to show me the energy for today so I could share it. And I'm shuffling and I'm shuffling and I'm shuffling and I'm shuffling and I'm shuffling. I'm going, am I supposed to draw one today? And it was a definite yes. It's like, okay. Well, I had the tea kettle on the stove because I was boiling some water. I was going to do my neti pot, so I needed to warm up the water. And it was starting to boil. I could hear it, right? And so I went into the kitchen and I was going to turn off the tea kettle, and I thought, well, no, I'm just going to let it steam a little bit and actually reach a full boil. And as I'm waiting, I'm shuffling, right? I turned off the water, I'm shuffling, I continue to shuffle, and a card pops out. Yay! Well, when the card popped out, it jumped out of the deck and slid underneath the stove. And I stood there for a second. I thought, did I see that right? Yeah, there's a card that jumped out. Oh, good. Rochelle's saying hi, and she's doing Reiki healing this morning. Good. That'll be good for you. And I tried to get the card out from underneath the stove. I even went in and borrowed my mom's yardstick. Not many people even know what a yardstick is anymore, but it's flat and it's 3 feet long. 36 inches. And so I'm trying to fish it out from the card from underneath the stove, and I couldn't feel it. It's like, is it really even here? And I tried for, a good 10 minutes to get it out. I even tried to get the bottom drawer off the stove because I thought, well, if I get the bottom drawer out, maybe I can see the card from underneath. Couldn't get the drawer out. So I continued. I thought, well, okay, maybe that card was just for me, and maybe we should probably draw another card. And so I'm shuffling, and I didn't have to wait very long, and 2 cards flew out of the deck, both face down on the floor, right? I'm in the living room at this point, face down. And the first card that flew out was Fire Medicine. And the second card is Smoke Signals. And I said, I was asking my team, I thought, oh, that's kind of, there's no synchronicities here, I know that. How about, am I supposed to really get that card out from underneath the stove because it's a fire hazard? And it was, and then about the smoking, causing, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So I didn't even look up the meaning of these 2 cards because it was clearly a message for me that I need to get that one card out from underneath the stove. Can I get one in a different length? A yardstick? Probably not. That's why they call them yards. It's 1 yard is 3 feet, 36 inches. You could get a 12-inch ruler. They come in that. Anyway, so Spirit's telling me, get that card out from underneath the stove. So I went back into the kitchen and tried to move the stove out from its little alcove area. Couldn't budge it. So I had to wait for Paul to come home, and he was running late from work. and so when he came home, I was telling him about it, and he tried to take the drawer out too, and it kind of came out a little bit, and he looked under there and he couldn't see it. He goes, "You sure there's a card under there?" And I said, "Yep, I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw it fly under there." And then I showed him these 2 cards, Fire Medicine and Smoke Signal. He goes, "Yeah, I guess we have to pull the stove out." And so we did, and that's how we found this card, the Eastern Shield, about illumination and clarity. That cardinal's pretty loud, hey? And so it was kind of an interesting card draw. I've learned something, though. Do not do a card draw standing next to the stove. Don't do that. I learned a little bit of a lesson this morning because if a card pops out, it could end up underneath the stove. So the Eastern Shield is about illumination and clarity. And, and here we are in the midst of spring, which, for me on the medicine wheel lies in the east. And in the medicine wheel that I studied, which really is, it's based on Ojibwa medicine and Potawatomi medicine. So it's a little bit different than some people are familiar with like the Lakota medicine wheel. There's a lot of similarities, but there are some differences, and so for me, the East is about spring, and we do use the color yellow in the East, the Eastern color. And so on the card, you can see the circle around the eagle is yellow. Right? And for us, sorry, and for us, the main animal totem for the East is the eagle. And we're talking all eagles, not just the bullhead eagle, but all eagles. And when I was reading about the card, from what Jamie Sams had to say about it, she's using the information, the knowledge coming from the Seneca Nation out east, part of the Iroquois Nation, the Haudenosaunee people. And it's very similar because, our language base is similar. The Potawatomi and Ojibwa language are Algonquin-based languages. And so we have... the language is very similar, whereas the Ho-Chunk language and the Lakota language, the Oceti-Sakowee language, is a Siouan-based language, and so there is a language difference. Oh, Nicole, she saw a bald eagle while she was walking with her kids to school this morning. Yay! I tell you what, in my world, that is one of the best signs. And usually what my mother does when I tell her about, my bald eagle sightings, she always says, and what were you thinking about when you saw it? What were you thinking about? Because those two things go together. And to help you understand whatever it was that was on your mind. So what were you thinking about, Nicole, when you saw the bald eagle? Good morning, Jocelyn. And so Jamie Sams writes from... a knowledge base of the Seneca Nation about and they call the Eastern Shield, where is the Potawatomi, we call it the winds of the East. Nodin, winds of the East. And we do believe in the color yellow in the East. We also believe that is the place where the Creator resides and where she greets us every morning, right? And we also believe that the Eastern medicine has a lot to do with your thoughts. And when you're talking about your physical body, it would be your brain. And that is where we place that on the medicine wheel. And for us, it would be our earth walk goes from the east to the west, from our mental thoughts to emotions or to our heart, and learning how to balance those two, right? And so what she writes about the Eastern Shield is about thought as well. They also call it the golden door. And this golden door leads to 3 levels of awareness or understanding. And they call, what we call an earth walk, they call a medicine walk, which, I like that term too. So Nicole, what are you saying here? It says, I was thinking about how late my daughter was for class because we can never get out the door on time, probably. Yep. Also, yellow is my daughter's favorite color. Okay, so, well, there's one thing I know for sure, Nicole, is that small children and elderly, you don't rush them. As much as we want to get out the door and get things done, they don't move fast. And if they do, chances are there's another thing that you're going to have to clean up, a spill. They could fall, you know. And so I've learned that if I need to have something done around my mom or in at my mom's speed, is that I have to allow some time. Otherwise, what I'm doing is I'm anxious. That's a good word. I was looking for a descriptive word. Anxious, because I know I'm watching the time, right? And so if I tell her ahead of time that I have a show to do or I have a business call to do or something like that, you know, and give her the time frame, that helps me. It also clues her in. So sharing information, right? You know, seeing an eagle is always a good thing. Always a good thing. And, you know, if you spend a little time with it, I'm sure your spiritual team, your guides will help you understand what the connection is between seeing the eagle and thinking about your daughter being late for class. Yeah. Good morning, Carol. She says, my dad kept seeing a red dragon that he said came from the east in his last days before passing. It brought him great peace. You know, and it depends. It depends on the culture, right? Just because the Potawatomi and the Ojibwa put the eagle in the east doesn't mean that that's the only totem or power animal that resides in the east. It depends on your culture. And if it gave your dad some peace and he felt good about it, hey, that's all good stuff. It really is. And there are some cultures that put red in the east. I think it was, I think the holy man Black Elk put red in the east at some point. Now, I'm going to have to look that up to make sure that that's a fact. But I know that there are some cultures, native cultures, that use the color yellow in the south. And there's a couple that use it in the east. So, you know, it's all different. And what I learned about the medicine wheel is really based on geography, where you live, what the world is around you in your environment, and not necessarily, you know, a template that covers everybody that is so broad. It really depends on where you live and the topography, the geography of where you live. That's why some will put the water not in the east, but maybe in the south or in the west water. Sometimes they put it in the east or they put it in the south, depending on where they live and what body of water is near them. And that's what I learned about the medicine wheel. That's why there is no right or wrong. There is just an interpretation. Just an interpretation. And Nicole is saying, I definitely need to get up early so I can get them ready without rushing. I hear that. And sometimes, you know, even if it's my only 10 minute earlier or 5 minute earlier, what that does for me is it gives me a calmer mind, because I'm not rushing around. Now, I should have taken my own advice this morning. Because my alarm went off, I turned it off, and I laid there for a few minutes, because I have to try to figure out what day is it, because my days are pretty much the same. And I fell back asleep. Next thing I know, it's like 6:45, and it's shower day. No, yesterday was shower day. And it was, wait a minute, today's Thursday, right? Today is shower day. See what happens? Anyway, I was late a little bit. So I was rushing around too. Sometimes it happens. Good morning, Erin. Good to see you in the house. Glad you could join us. So we're talking about, the card draw of the day is the Eastern Shield. And it's about illumination and clarity. And Jamie Sams writes about this information, about the card, from the Seneca Nations information, their belief system, their culture. And how she even got to understand about the medicine of the East is that there was an elder who helped her to understand the medicine of the East, and he took her on a walk, and he was sharing about the East and the things that she found along her walk is about what's on the card or in the card meaning. And there was 3 things that she found on that walk. What she found was she must have been in the Southwest when she was going through this medicine walk, because she's talking about that she found a shard of pottery, and then she also found, well, there was a snake laying on its eggs, and so she gave it a wide berth, but she also gave tobacco to the snake. It was a blow snake. And she also, when she picked up the chard, she put down tobacco for the shard of the pottery as well. And then the third thing that came across her path was a penny. And she put down some tobacco and took the penny. And so there's a couple things in there that I wanted to point out, is that it's about the energy exchange as well. Is that before she took what was shown to her, she gave an offering back to Spirit. And so there was this energy exchange between the picking up the shard of pottery, seeing the understanding the medicine from the snake, and also picking up the penny. And what the elder told her about the shard, the pottery shard, it's about creativity. It's about that part of us that is creative, because everybody has it. Everybody has it, and that it's about the artists within us, and that we all have talent, and that we're all creative in different ways. It's not like, we're all Michelangelo or Christine Pollock, one of my friends who's an artist. We all express our artistic talent in different ways. And that when we recognize that that aspect of ourselves, there is illumination to it. There's an understanding of how and why we choose certain things, why we do things in a certain way, right? Some people, it is their talent, their artistic talent, could be in how they select their clothes. It does take talent to do that, to put that outfit together. Some people, their artistic talent is cooking, baking. And so, we all have it, that aspect within us. And the second thing that she saw was that the snake, right? The snake medicine. And I know that in some cultures, they believe that the snake is a bad omen, is a bad sign. Not all cultures believe that. And in this particular instance, the snake medicine was about the shedding of the skin, and that's releasing old habits. And the fact that the snake was on her eggs, keeping them warm, right? Because it's springtime, and that it's also about that creativity again, the creation process. Okay, Rob, catch it on the backside, okay? You're welcome, Rob, on the recorded side. Is that the eggs itself is a representation of the East, because it's about creation. It's about the Creator, right? And so she says that the snake medicine people transmutes poison to change and heal. And so the second path to the illumination is about healing and transmuting poison. Now, we could take that many different ways, but when you apply it to the East, it's about your thoughts. It's about that mental process. And so being able to shed old habits of negative thought patterns, right? Because we can catch ourselves. And I know that we all do this at times. It's like, oh, we need to change that. Let me do this differently. Delete that last thought, right? And replace it with a more positive thought. Yeah. Excuse me. The third thing that she found was that penny that she picked up and put tobacco down for. And the elder was telling her about the energy exchange. That an energy exchange, there's many different ways to do an energy exchange, and all of them have equal value. It depends on how you present it. So the illumination is about how to properly use the energy exchange. And, if we include barter and pay and trade, right? And I don't know what the difference really is between barter and trade. Maybe one is where there's no monetary exchange at all, and where possibly you might have a little bit of both. One that's in kind and one that's partially in kind and partially in cash. Maybe that's what they're talking about. But she says that the third path is rugged. I like that, is rugged. But the proper use of energy exchange will bring understanding of all material and non-physical forms of energy. So the third door is really about the illumination about that is about sharing. Sharing. Good morning, David. So glad you could be with us this morning. Yay, David's in the house. And so really that third door of the Eastern Shield is about sharing. And the equality within that sharing, that equal energy exchange. And that's why it was important that she put down the tobacco for each one of that information that Spirit gave to her, because there was an energy exchange. I like that a lot. And here, this is for those people just showing up. This is the card draw for the morning, the East Shield, Jamie Sams, the Sacred Path cards, and it's about illumination and clarity. As a totem in the East, she has the eagle and all the gifts that the Spirit of the East brings to us. I like that artistry too. And so, so when she's writing about the Seneca, I found it really fascinating that they also put in the East, because of that changing of old habits, releasing of old habits, being aware of your thought process. What they also put in the East is that no fear. There's a lot of courage in the East. There's no limitations, because that's the place the Creator resides and meets us every morning. And so that's was the keynote for that particular piece from the Seneca, is that there's courage in the East as we face the new day, and we make those decisions about letting go of old habits, old thought processes, things that no longer serve our thoughts anymore, and it's to let them go. They also say, this, I love this, I'm going to read it right out, leads to all other levels of imagination and awareness. That when we let go of those old habits, those negative things, we make room for something new to come in. And when you select or you choose something more positive, you have different levels of awareness. And in my world, we call that ascension. She also says that the one of the other keynotes of the Eastern Shield is about independence. That we challenge and conquer our greatest lessons and we move forward. And when we do that, it's about independence. But it depends on how you bring in the medicine of the eagle, right? In the United States, it's about a symbol of freedom. And in the Potawatomi, what we believe is that the eagle is the one that flies the highest and the closest to the Creator, and that's why the eagle is the one that takes our prayers. Because the eagle flies closest to the Creator. And the old saying, with eagle eye, to see it with clarity. You see it more clearly and from a further distance, right? That eagle vision. You can see even the smallest things from a great distance because they fly so high. And if you've ever watched, I got a squirrel out here. If you watch an eagle when they're hunting and how they swoop in and they pick up their prey, whether it's fish or squirrel or dinner, they're going out for dinner. They can see their dinner from a long ways away, and then how they swoop in to get it. Medicine from the East. And what Jamie writes about is how we invite the medicine of the eagle into our hearts. And that is a lot where the courage comes from too, is to have an open enough heart to ask the eagle medicine to come in. So when Nicole saw the eagle this morning, one of the things that you can do, Nicole, is, well, and everybody, is when you see the eagle, you can stop for a minute, take a deep breath, get grounded, go to your heart and say thank you. Thank you for coming to me. I appreciate you being here with me, for me. Do you have a message for me? And just listen and see what you get, whether you're hearing it, seeing it, feeling it. Just be aware of it. You don't really necessarily have to take action with it immediately, but to be open to receiving the information or the gift that the eagle is bringing to you. And so to see an eagle, especially in the morning, that's good stuff. That's good medicine. And around here, my mother would be saying that's big medicine. So the application that Jamie Sams writes about for this card is that it represents a need for clarity in some part of your life. It may also mark a time of illumination, when suddenly things begin to fit together and make sense to you. When you have those aha moments, for me, it's kind of like connecting the dots and say, oh, that's what that was. That's what that is. If you've been confused, now is a time to ask for order in your life. Order can be restored through making a list of things to do, cleaning up your living space, or finishing old projects. When order is restored, you are then more receptive and can find the clarity you need. There are some people who need to have a sense of order so that they can relax, right? So there's some people who will clean up their desk, or for me, make your bed. Once my bed is made in the morning, I'm set. We're ready to go. There's things that we all do to kind of put our world into order so we can relax, and then we can start receiving, because our mind is more in a relaxed state. Some people, it's meditation. I wish I could say I meditate every single morning. I don't. Sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes it's at night. If in the old days, I had a specific time in the morning where I would go in to meditate. And sometimes it was, for half an hour, sometimes an hour. And these days, it's when I can fit it in, and sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's just a couple of minutes. I can take a deep breath and get connected and go to my heart and feel the calm, right? So however you can fit it in, that's good. So Jamie Sams goes on to say that the illumination of the East can also be asking you to assist another in finding clarity. Assisting another to find clarity. So you're sharing your wisdom, you're sharing your gifts with another person. You're being of service to your community. That is huge. And sometimes all it is just sitting down and listening, really listening to what the other person is saying. In the Western culture, we're so used to multitasking. If you're on the phone, you got your earbuds in, right? And you're doing dishes, or you're doing something else while someone's talking to you. That's not attentive listening. And if you've got somebody right there with you in person, and to give them your attention, sometimes that's all that's needed. And they can start connecting the dots themselves and saying, and start answering their own questions. So it's really, sometimes it's, if that's your gift, is being a good listener, it's huge. So Nicole is saying, my husband is a neat person and I'm a tornado of mess. It's a problem. And yet you guys have been together for how long? I think it works. Because, I'm not necessarily a morning person. Never have been, even as a kid. I'm more of a night person. I get the best ideas and thoughts to do things at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. That hasn't changed. Even though I'm getting up early because my mom needs me that early in the morning. Now, Paul, he has always been a morning person. Always. And he's the type of morning person that he gets up and he's all happy, whistling, singing. In the early days of our marriage, I would throw things at him, pillows, quiet. But we're still together almost 40 years. Nicole saying 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. And it seems something's working. Something's working. Okay, so let's finish up Jamie Sams. She says that in the East Shield marks a time of new freedoms that come from wiping the mud from your eyes and seeing with the eagle eye. Observe which thoughts keep you in blinders and clear that blindness through summoning your courage to take flight. So, the Eastern Shield. Being aware of your thoughts. Allowing those old negative thoughts to slide away. Delete them. Replace them with something more positive. A more positive image. Take on the medicine of the eagle. And to be able to see with clarity, right? I like this card. So however this resonates with you about illumination and clarity and the gifts that come with the Eastern Shield, see what comes for you today in that understanding and what shows up. Now remember how this came to me, that card, Eastern Shield, right underneath the stove. And I was going to maybe select a new card. And these are the other two that showed up. Smoke signal and fire medicine. I had something burnable underneath the stove. So my spiritual team was saying, you got to get that card out from underneath that stove. And so it took a little bit, but we got it out. And I have to thank Spirit for being persistent and saying, we got to deal with that. With that, please enjoy the rest of your day. I know I am. Today is the 10th of May. And for me, that means it's publishing day. We get to publish the Star Nations magazine today. And I'll be doing that, it depends, probably right after lunch. I have to see what messages have come in since then. But we have publishing day today. So expect an email message from me or a notification if you received the magazine. And you'll get a push notification from us later this afternoon saying that it's published. I hope you enjoy the May issue. You'll hear more about that from me probably tomorrow on a different live stream, probably in the evening. So have a wonderful day, and Bama Mina until we see each other again tomorrow morning for tomorrow's card draw. I'll see you later.